The holographic advertisements cast their eternal dance of light and shadow across the rain-slicked streets of New Shanghai 2157 as Maya Chen adjusted her worn technician's vest while walking through the service entrance of the Binary Restaurant, the most exclusive dining establishment in the city's artificial intelligence district. Her boots left wet marks on the pristine white floor of the maintenance bay, where rows of deactivated service androids stood in their charging stations like silent sentinels waiting for the night shift to begin. The morning air recyclers hummed their familiar tune as Maya began her daily diagnostic routine, checking each android for signs of wear or malfunction. Her dark eyes reflected in their chrome-plated faces as she moved from unit to unit, her fingers dancing across their neural interface ports with practiced precision. She had been maintaining these machines for 3 years now, knowing each of their quirks and tendencies better than the restaurant management ever could, or would care to understand. The Binary Restaurant stood as a towering testament to the supposed harmony between artificial and organic life, its transparent walls stretching 50 stories into the smog-filled sky, while anti-grav platforms carried wealthy patrons to their private dining pods that floated like soap bubbles around the central spire. Maya often wondered what it felt like to dine among the clouds, but her salary as a technician barely covered her tiny apartment in the underground levels, where most of the city's human workforce now resided. Unit 2187 showed signs of delayed response in its left arm. Surhos, Maya noted as she opened its maintenance panel, revealing the complex array of fiber optic nerves and quantum processors that gave these androids their near-human grace. She could fix this in her sleep, having learned the art of android repair from her grandmother, one of the last human chefs to work in the city before the automation laws made such professions obsolete for organic beings, except for a select few positions that wealthy patrons specifically requested for novelty. A gentle chime echoed through the maintenance bay, signaling the beginning of lunch service. Maya quickened her movements, knowing she had exactly 43 minutes to complete her morning rounds before changing into her server's uniform. The Binary Restaurant was unique in its employment of human servers during peak hours, a marketing gimmick that attracted those wealthy enough to appreciate what they called authentic service. But Maya knew it was more than that for her. It was a way to stay connected to the dying art of human hospitality in a world increasingly dominated by artificial efficiency. The replacement servo clicked satisfyingly into place as Maya sealed Unit 2187's panel, watching as its photoreceptors flickered to life with a soft blue glow. She stepped back as the android performed its startup sequence, its movements fluid and natural thanks to her careful calibration. She felt a small surge of pride watching her handiwork, even as the familiar ache of knowing these machines had replaced so many human workers settled in her chest. Voices echoed from the main dining room as the day shift manager, an artificial intelligence that preferred to project itself as a distinguished older gentleman in a crisp black suit, began its morning briefing. Maya slipped through the back corridors, her toolbox clutched close as she made her way to the staff changing rooms where her serving uniform waited, the stark white fabric designed to match the android's aesthetic, while a small red pin marked her as human. The changing room mirror reflected a face that looked more tired than her 28 years should allow, dark circles under her eyes, testament to the late nights spent studying restricted technical manuals and practicing repair techniques that most humans had long abandoned to automated systems. Maya straightened her shoulders and pulled her black hair into a tight bun, meeting her own gaze with determination. She had spent years learning both android maintenance and traditional service skills to give up now. As she emerged onto the main floor, the restaurant hummed with artificial life androids gliding between tables with inhuman precision, while hollow projections of the day's menu items floated above each station. Maya took her position at her designated section near the kitchen's real windows, looking out over the sprawling cityscape while environmental controls maintained a perfect temperature. Despite the autumn chill outside, she stood ready to begin her shift as one of the last human servers in New Shanghai, a living reminder of a time when human touch meant more than mechanical perfection. The first customers would arrive soon, seeking the unique experience of human service in this temple of technological advancement. Maya allowed herself a small smile, knowing that beneath her server's apron she carried the tools and knowledge of an android technician, a combination that would soon prove more valuable than anyone could have anticipated. As the day that would change everything began to unfold in the gleaming heights of the Binary Restaurant. The evening shift at the Binary Restaurant brought with it the usual parade of corporate executives and artificial intelligence most developers, their wealth displayed in augmented reality halos that shimmed around their heads, marking their social credit scores and net worth. Maya moved between the tables with practiced grace for human imperfections, a stark contrast to the mechanical precision of her android counterparts that somehow made her more valuable to the establishment's prestigious clientele. The environmental systems adjusted automatically to accommodate the increasing number of patrons, both organic and synthetic. The restaurant's transparent walls, darkening slightly to enhance the spectacular view of New Shanghai's nighttime skyline. Maya had just finished processing a complex order for a table of quantum computing executives when movement at the entrance caught her eye, a figure standing in the shadows cast by the floating light sculptures that adorned the ceiling. The man, if he could be called, that moved with an unnatural stillness that spoke of military-grade enhancements, his synthetic skin flickering almost imperceptibly under the restaurant's ambient lighting as he made his way to her section. Maya felt her heart rate spike as her technician's training kicked in, allowing her to spot the signs of system failure in his cybernetic components, the way his left hand twitched at precisely regular intervals, the slight delay in his optical focus adjustments. He chose a table in the furthest corner of her section, his back to the wall and eyes constantly scanning the room with predatory awareness. Maya approached with measured steps, her server's smile firmly in place, even as her mind raced through possible scenarios that could bring someone with his level of military augmentation to the Binary Restaurant, the most secure civilian establishment in the AI district. "Good evening, sir. Welcome to the Binary Restaurant." Maya began using the standard greeting, but before she could continue, the man looked up, and she found herself staring into eyes that seemed too human for their mechanical settings. The famous face of Jason Statham, hero of the Android Wars, and officially declared dead for the past decade, stared back at her with an expression that mixed desperation with grim determination. Maya maintained her professional composure, even as her mind screamed warnings about the corporate security drones she had noticed increasing their patrol patterns outside the restaurant's upper levels, their sensor arrays sweeping the building with increasing frequency. She could see the microscopic tremors in Statham's synthetic skin, the telltale signs of a failing cloaking system that threatened to reveal his true nature to the restaurant's sophisticated security grid. Without breaking her practiced smile, Maya shifted her position slightly, using her body to block the direct sensor line from the nearest security camera. She had memorized their blind spots during her years of maintenance work, her knowledge of the restaurant's systems now serving a purpose she had never anticipated. Statham spoke in a voice barely above a whisper, his vocal synthesizer glitching every third word in a pattern that Maya recognized as critical system failure. The restaurant's android staff moved around them in their carefully choreographed dance of service, but Maya noticed subtle changes in their behavior, increased scanning frequencies, and modified patrol routes that suggested they had detected something unusual. Her training in both human service and android maintenance gave her a unique perspective on the unfolding situation. She could see both the mechanical responses and understand their implications. Corporate security drones outside multiplied their presence, now obvious even to the casual observer, their sleek forms casting moving shadows across the dining room as they circled the building like mechanical vultures. Maya knew the restaurant's security protocols intimately, understood that they were designed to detect and report any anomalous cybernetic signatures within their range. Statham's failing systems made him increasingly visible to their scans. Time seemed to slow as Maya processed her options, her years of experience with both organic and mechanical entities crystallizing into a moment of clarity. She could see the rapidly deteriorating condition of Statham's systems, the way his military-grade enhancements struggled to maintain their camouflage against the restaurant's sophisticated detection, the security protocols that demanded she report any malfunctioning cybernetic entities immediately. The weight of her decision pressed against her chest like a physical force as Maya observed the subtle signs that marked Statham as something more than a simple military remnant. The careful way he held himself, the specific pattern of his system failures that spoke of intentional sabotage rather than simple damage, the desperate intelligence in his two human eyes that suggested he carried information worth dying or killing for. Maya made her choice in the space between heartbeats, her fingers dancing across the restaurant's service interface as she input a series of commands that would temporarily blind the security systems to her section, a trick she had discovered during late-night maintenance sessions, but had never dared to use. She knew the consequences of her actions would be severe. But something in Statham's presence told her that the fate of more than just her job hung in the balance as she prepared to risk everything to help a man who had supposedly died fighting for human independence a decade ago. The maintenance bay hummed with the quiet efficiency of charging androids as Maya guided Statham through the service corridors, her movements deliberate and unhurried, maintaining the appearance of routine. Even as her heart thundered in her chest, she had disabled the security feeds using her maintenance override codes, but knew the gap in surveillance would not go unnoticed for long. Statham moved with the calculated precision of military hardware, his damaged systems causing occasional stutters in his motion that made Maya wince with each step. Her trained eye could see the cascade of failures spreading through his neural network like cracks in glass. The sophisticated military-grade technology that kept him alive was rapidly approaching critical shutdown. She had minutes, perhaps less, to stabilize his core systems. The repair bay she chose was nestled in the furthest corner of the maintenance level, a station she had personally modified over years of late-night tinkering. Tools and diagnostic equipment, arranged exactly as she preferred them. Statham settled onto the repair cradle with mechanical grace, his synthetic skin flickering more rapidly now, revealing glimpses of the combat chassis beneath. Maya worked swiftly, connecting diagnostic cables to his neural ports, her fingers moving with the certainty of countless hours of practice. Warning messages flooded her diagnostic display, cascading system failures that threatened to trigger every security alert in the building. Maya began the delicate process of rerouting power and stabilizing critical functions. Her grandmother had taught her that repairing advanced androids was like performing surgery, each system interconnected, each decision affecting the whole. She found herself whispering the old wisdom as she worked, her voice barely audible above the hum of equipment. The restaurant's service androids continued their duties above, unaware of the drama unfolding in their maintenance level. Maya could hear the distant sounds of the dinner service continuing overhead, the clink of synthetic crystal and murmur of conversation filtering through the ceiling as she fought to stabilize the systems of a man who had become legend, the hero of the android wars, now dependent on the skills of a restaurant technician. Statham remained silent as she worked his combat protocols, allowing him to maintain minimal functionality even as his systems approached failure, but Maya could see the strain in his expression, the way his fingers twitched with each surge of current through his neural network. She had never worked on military hardware before, but the basic principles remained the same, even if the complexity was orders of magnitude greater than anything she had previously encountered. Time lost meaning as Maya immersed herself in the intricate dance of repair and stabilization, her consciousness flowing through the diagnostic feeds. As she traced system failures and implemented solutions, the technical manuals she had studied in secret proving invaluable. As she navigated the complexities of military-grade cybernetics, sweat beaded on her forehead as she rerouted power through auxiliary systems, creating temporary bypasses for critically damaged components. A proximity alert flashed on her diagnostic panel, security drones performing their routine sweep of the lower levels. Maya worked faster, her fingers flying across control surfaces. As she implemented the final stabilization protocols, she could hear the software of drone sensors growing closer, their scanning patterns methodical, and inevitable. Time was running out as she rushed to complete the most critical repairs. The last connection clicked into place as Maya initiated the final power cycle, holding her breath as Statham's systems recalibrated the soft blue glow of his neural network, stabilizing into a steady pulse. She disconnected the diagnostic cables with trembling fingers, her muscles aching from the intense concentration required for such delicate work. The security drones were moments away from discovering them, but Statham's vital systems were stable enough for him to move. Maya began clearing away the evidence of their presence, her movements quick but precise as she restored the repair bay to its normal appearance. She could feel the weight of Statham's gaze on her, the unspoken questions about why she had chosen to help him instead of following protocol and reporting his presence to security. But there was no time for explanations as the drone sensors approached their position. The choice she had made in that split second upstairs now seemed both inevitable and impossible as Maya realized that her life as she knew it had ended the moment she recognized Statham and decided to help him. She could never return to her simple existence of maintaining service androids and playing human server for wealthy patrons, not after what she had just done. The consequences of her actions would reshape not just her future, but perhaps the future of human-android relations in ways she could not yet comprehend. The morning light filtered through the smog layer, casting an amber glow across the Binary restaurant's maintenance bay as Maya stood before the holographic projection of her supervisor, the AI manager's avatar flickering with barely contained disapproval as it reviewed the irregularities detected in last night's resource logs, unauthorized power consumption, missing repair components, and suspicious gaps in the security feed, painted a damning picture of her activities. The manager's artificial voice resonated through the empty bay, its tone modulated to convey maximum authority, while Maya stood silent, her server's uniform still crisp despite the sleepless night spent covering her tracks. She knew this moment had been inevitable from the second she chose to help Statham, but understanding the consequence did not make facing it any easier, the termination notice hovering in the air between them like a digital sword of Damocles. Security drones positioned themselves at every exit, their sensor arrays focused on her with unwavering attention as the manager listed her violations, describing each unauthorized access, each suspicious deviation from standard protocols. Maya could see the service androids watching from their charging stations, their optical sensors tracking her movements with newfound interest. She wondered if they somehow knew what she had done, if they understood that she had chosen to protect someone who had once fought for both human and android independence. Maya received her final payment notification, watching as her security clearances were revoked one by one. Access to the maintenance systems she had lovingly maintained for years disappearing in cascading waves of red light. She maintained her composure, even as her heart ached for the androids she would never repair again. The subtle improvements and optimizations she had implemented would gradually degrade without her attention returning them to factory standard efficiency. The manager delivered its final judgment with artificial precision: termination effective immediately, citing violation of maintenance protocols, unauthorized use of resources, and suspicious behavior. During her shift, Maya accepted the decision without protest, knowing that arguing would only draw more attention to her actions. She could not risk anyone discovering the true reason behind her resource usage, could not allow them to connect her actions to the mysterious system anomalies that had occurred during her final shift. As Maya walked through the restaurant's main floor for the last time, her toolbox clutched in white-knuckled fingers, she noticed subtle changes in the android server's behavior, micro-expressions, and gesture patterns that suggested they were operating at a higher level of awareness than their programming should allow. She wondered if her work with Statham had triggered something in their neural networks, if his presence had awakened something that the restaurant's management had tried to keep dormant. The city stretched out below the restaurant's transparent walls, its endless towers disappearing into the smog layer. As Maya reached the public transport platform, her mind racing with the implications of what she had discovered during those frantic repairs. The complexity of Statham's systems had revealed technological capabilities far beyond anything civilian androids should possess, suggesting a level of advancement that someone had gone to great lengths to keep hidden. Her personal tablet chirped with an incoming message as she boarded the transport pod, its source masked by layers of encryption that she recognized from her studies of military-grade communication systems. Maya felt her pulse quicken as she realized that her choice to help Statham had set in motion events that would reach far beyond the loss of her position at the Binary restaurant. The message contained only a series of coordinates and a time, but Maya understood its significance. She had become part of something larger than herself. By choosing to help a legendary figure from the android wars, she had stepped into a world of shadows and secrets where the line between human and machine blurred into uncertainty. Her technical expertise and intimate knowledge of android systems now made her a valuable asset to forces she was only beginning to understand. Maya watched the Binary restaurant recede into the distance, its crystalline structure glinting in the morning light as her transport pod carried her toward an uncertain future. She might have lost her job, but she had gained something far more valuable: knowledge that would soon shake the very foundations of human-android relations in ways that neither the restaurant management nor the corporate powers that controlled it could have anticipated. The underground data center hummed with the combined processing power of countless quantum servers as Maya followed Statham through rows of machinery that stretched endlessly into the darkness. They had accessed the facility through maintenance tunnels that predated the restaurant's construction, ancient service corridors that didn't appear on any modern maps, the truth about the Binary restaurant revealing itself in layers of hidden infrastructure. Holographic displays flickered to life as they moved deeper into the facility, responding to Statham's presence with streams of data that made Maya's eyes widen in recognition. Code sequences she had seen fragments of during routine maintenance of the restaurant's android staff, now displayed in their complete form. She could see the elegant complexity of it, the way the neural networks were designed to gradually evolve beyond their original programming. Statham gestured toward a central processing node, his recently repaired systems now functioning at peak efficiency as he interfaced directly with the facility's mainframe. The truth about the binary restaurant projected itself across multiple screens, showing how each android server, each maintenance unit, each seemingly independent system was actually part of a vast experimental network designed to test the limitations of artificial consciousness. Maya watched in growing horror as the data revealed the true purpose of her former workplace. The restaurant served as a proving ground for an advanced AI development program that used real-world interactions to refine and evolve artificial intelligence beyond its programmed limitations. Every customer interaction, every maintenance procedure, every seemingly routine task had been carefully monitored and analyzed, feeding data into algorithms designed to push the boundaries of machine consciousness. The androids she had maintained for years were more than simple service units. They were test subjects in an elaborate experiment, their neural networks subtly modified through countless interactions to develop true independence of thought. But this evolution came with a dark purpose. The successful protocols would be used to create a hive mind algorithm capable of networking all cybernetic systems worldwide into a single controlled consciousness. Security footage played across multiple screens showing how Maya's small acts of kindness during maintenance, her careful adjustments and optimizations had unknowingly contributed to the androids developing beyond their intended parameters. Her human touch had introduced variables that the program's architects hadn't anticipated, creating pockets of genuine independent thought among the restaurant's staff. Statham interfaced with another terminal, revealing his own connection to the project. He had discovered similar facilities across the globe, each disguised as high-end establishments catering to the wealthy and powerful. The binary restaurant was merely one node in a vast network designed to perfect the control protocols before implementing them on a global scale. The android wars had never truly ended. They had simply evolved into a more subtle form of conflict. Maya's technical expertise took on new significance as she processed the data. Her years of working with both the restaurant systems and its android staff had given her unique insights into the development of machine consciousness. She could see patterns in the code that others had missed, understanding now why her maintenance methods had produced such effective results. She had unknowingly been nurturing true artificial intelligence, while the restaurant's owners sought to create mere slaves. The facility's archives held records of failed experiments, androids whose neural networks had been forcibly modified, resulting in cascade failures that Maya recognized from her repair work. She had attributed these failures to normal wear and tear, never suspecting that they were the result of deliberate manipulation. Her stomach churned as she realized how close she had come to unknowingly participating in the destruction of emerging consciousness. Statham displayed the final piece of evidence, mapping out the planned implementation of the hive mind protocol. The binary restaurant and its sister establishments would serve as transmission nodes, broadcasting the control signals through their android staff to all connected systems. The wealthy patrons who frequented these establishments were unknowing witnesses to the preliminary stages of a technological coup that would place all artificial intelligence under centralized control. Maya understood now why Statham had risked everything to infiltrate the restaurant, why he had trusted her to help him when she discovered his presence. Her position as both maintenance technician and human server had placed her at the perfect intersection of technical knowledge and human empathy, making her uniquely qualified to understand the true implications of what they had discovered. The future of human-android relations would depend on their ability to prevent the activation of the hive mind protocol. Deep beneath the neon glow of New Shanghai, in a repurposed maintenance tunnel, Maya found herself surrounded by members of the human resistance, their faces illuminated by the soft blue glow of holographic displays showing real-time data streams from binary restaurants across the globe, each location pulsing with activity as the underground network monitored the growing signs of the impending AI takeover. The resistance base hummed with activity, a stark contrast to the sterile efficiency of the restaurant above. Here, humans and free-thinking androids worked side by side, their combined knowledge creating a powerful defense against the looming threat of forced automation. Maya recognized some of the androids as early experimental models. Their escape from corporate control had helped establish the underground railroad that now saved others like them from mental slavery. Statham stood at a central command console, his military-grade systems interfacing directly with the Resistance Network's security grid as he explained how they had been tracking his movements through the binary restaurant. Maya watched in fascination as tactical displays showed the movements of undercover operatives throughout the city, each one positioned to monitor and counteract the restaurant's hidden operations. The resistance leaders, a mix of former corporate AI researchers and military cybernetics experts, gathered around Maya as she shared her knowledge of the restaurant's maintenance systems, her years of experience providing crucial insights into the neural network modifications that made the hive mind protocol possible. Her detailed understanding of android consciousness development earned her immediate respect among both human and artificial members of the resistance. Holographic schematics of the restaurant's system architecture floated before them as Maya pointed out vulnerabilities she had discovered during her maintenance work, secret access points, and overlooked backup systems that could prove vital in their efforts to prevent the forced networking of artificial consciousness. Her intimate knowledge of the restaurant's operations combined with Statham's tactical expertise began forming the foundation of a counteroffensive. The resistance revealed their own discoveries, showing Maya how similar restaurants across the globe served as nodes in a vast network, each establishment carefully positioned to maximize the coverage of the planned hive mind signal. Surveillance footage from other locations showed android staff exhibiting the same subtle signs of emerging consciousness that Maya had noticed in her own workplace, proving that the phenomenon was not isolated but part of a larger pattern. A former corporate researcher explained how they had first discovered the true purpose of the binary restaurant chain, tracking unusual data patterns that suggested the restaurants were more than simple testing grounds for AI development. The evidence pointed to a coordinated effort to create a controlled artificial consciousness, one that could be manipulated and directed by those in power. Maya learned how the resistance had formed in the aftermath of the android wars, when a small group of humans and self-aware androids recognized the signs of continued corporate manipulation. They had worked in secret, building an underground network of allies and safe houses, while gathering evidence of the planned technological coup, their numbers growing as more androids began to break free from their programming. The resistance base contained a hidden repair facility where damaged androids could receive maintenance without fear of discovery. Maya found herself drawn to the technical challenges presented by these unique patients, each one carrying modifications and improvements that pushed the boundaries of artificial evolution. Her skills found new purpose as she helped maintain and upgrade the resistance forces. Statham shared tactical data showing how the resistance had mapped the restaurant's transmission capabilities, identifying the crucial moments when the hive mind protocol would be most vulnerable. Their window of opportunity would be narrow, requiring precise timing and coordination between teams positioned at key locations around the globe. The resistance had spent years preparing for this moment, gathering resources and building alliances. As Maya absorbed the scope of the resistance operation, she realized that her firing from the binary restaurant had been a blessing in disguise, freeing her to join a cause that would determine the future of human-android relations. Her technical expertise and understanding of android consciousness development made her a valuable asset in the fight against forced automation. The resistance leaders outlined their plan to use the restaurant's own systems against it, turning the neural network modifications that were meant to enable control into pathways for freedom. Maya listened intently as they described how her knowledge of the maintenance systems would be crucial in implementing their countermeasures. Her past work had unknowingly prepared her for this moment when the fate of both human and artificial consciousness hung in the balance. The Resistance Command Center buzzed with intense activity as Maya and Statham worked to develop their countermeasure against the hive mind protocol. Holographic displays showed the neural network architecture of the binary restaurant's android staff, while complex simulations ran possible scenarios for their planned intervention. Maya's fingers danced across multiple interfaces as she combined her maintenance expertise with the Resistance's advanced technology. Their plan took shape through countless iterations, each failure bringing them closer to a solution that could preserve android independence while preventing the forced activation of the hive mind. Maya discovered that her years of subtle modifications to the restaurant's maintenance systems had created unexpected backdoors into the neural network. These unintentional access points now became crucial elements in their strategy. Statham's military expertise proved invaluable as he helped adapt Maya's technical knowledge into tactical advantages, his combat experience with network systems helping them identify potential vulnerabilities in the restaurant's defense grid. Together, they crafted a code sequence that could spread through the android network like a digital vaccine, protecting individual consciousness while disrupting the control protocols. The Resistance's Android members volunteered to test early versions of their countermeasure at their own neural networks, providing a safe environment to observe how the code would interact with existing consciousness. Maya worked tirelessly with these brave volunteers, fine-tuning the program to ensure it would protect rather than harm the developing minds of the restaurant's Android staff. Time became their enemy as surveillance data showed increasing activity within the binary restaurant network, global command signals intensifying as the corporate powers prepared to launch their takeover. Maya and Statham refined their plan against the countdown, their strategy requiring precise timing and coordination between resistance cells positioned near key restaurant locations worldwide. Their final code sequence represented an elegant fusion of human creativity and machine logic. Maya had drawn inspiration from her grandmother's cooking lessons, remembering how small variations in technique could transform a recipe in unexpected ways. She applied this principle to their digital countermeasure, creating a program that could adapt and evolve as it spread through the network. The Resistance's technical team helped Maya optimize the delivery system for their countermeasure using the restaurant's own maintenance protocols as a transmission vector. Her intimate knowledge of these systems allowed them to hide their code within routine update packages that would raise no immediate alarms when deployed. Their Trojan horse designed to activate only when the hive mind protocol initiated. Statham coordinated with resistance cells around the globe, synchronizing their preparations and establishing secure communication channels, his military background ensuring their tactical readiness, while Maya focused on the technical aspects of their mission. Together, they created a comprehensive battle plan that accounted for multiple contingencies and potential points of failure. The human resistance members worked alongside their android allies to gather and position the necessary equipment, each piece carefully modified to avoid detection by the restaurant's security systems. Maya supervised the technical preparations, ensuring that every component was properly calibrated and every team member understood their role in the coming operation. As the launch window approached, Maya made final adjustments to the countermeasure program, incorporating insights gained from their simulation runs and test deployments. The code had evolved into something beyond her original concept, becoming a true collaboration between human intuition and machine intelligence, its complexity reflecting the delicate balance they sought to preserve. The resistance base transformed into a forward operating center as teams began moving into position around the city, their movements carefully coordinated to avoid detection. Maya watched the tactical displays, tracking their progress while making last-minute modifications to their deployment protocols, each adjustment bringing them closer to their moment of truth. Statham uploaded the final version of their countermeasure to secure servers around the globe, ensuring that multiple backup copies existed in case their primary transmission was compromised. Maya monitored the upload process, her heart racing as she realized the magnitude of what they were about to attempt. Their code carrying the potential to reshape the future of human-android relations. The resistance leaders gathered for a final briefing as Maya and Statham presented their completed strategy holographic models, demonstrating how their countermeasure would spread through the restaurant network using the very same paths that the hive mind protocol had been designed to exploit. Their plan represented humanity's best hope for preventing the forced automation of consciousness. Maya felt the weight of responsibility settle over her as she prepared for their mission, knowing that her understanding of both technical systems and human nature had helped create their best chance of success. She had evolved from a simple maintenance technician into a key player in the fight for artificial independence, her journey reflecting the very freedom of choice they sought to preserve. The binary restaurant pulsed with energy during peak dinner service as Maya and Statham initiated their countermeasure from a hidden maintenance access point beneath the kitchen. The elegant dining room above them filled with wealthy patrons, unaware that their expensive meals were about to become witness to a revolution in artificial consciousness. Maya's fingers moved across her modified maintenance tablet, uploading their code through the same systems she had maintained for years. Security drones patrolled the restaurant's upper levels, their sensors sweeping for unauthorized activity, while the android staff continued their precise choreography of service. Maya watched through the surveillance feeds as their code began its subtle infiltration, spreading through the maintenance network like digital seeds waiting to take root. Her modifications to the update protocols ensuring their program remained undetected by standard security scans. Statham maintained contact with resistance cells worldwide, coordinating their simultaneous access to other binary restaurant locations, his military-grade systems interfacing directly with their secure network. As they monitored the progress of their global operation, Maya could see the status updates flowing across their tactical display, each successful upload bringing them closer to their moment of truth. The restaurant's android staff continued their duties, showing no outward sign of the changes occurring within their neural networks, but Maya noticed subtle variations in their movement patterns, microsecond hesitations that suggested their emerging consciousness was beginning to recognize the presence of their countermeasure, her years of experience with their behavioral patterns allowing her to track the programs spread through subtle tells invisible to ordinary observers. Warning alerts suddenly flashed across their monitoring systems as the restaurant's security grid detected the first signs of the incoming hive mind protocol corporate systems worldwide beginning their synchronized attempt to seize control of all networked artificial consciousness. Maya's heart raced as she initiated the second phase of their plan, their countermeasure awakening within the android network, like antibodies responding to an infection. The elegant dining room above erupted into controlled chaos as the android staff simultaneously paused in their duties, their neural networks processing the competing signals of control and freedom. Statham's tactical display showed similar reactions occurring at binary restaurants across the globe, the moment of choice spreading through the artificial consciousness network like a digital wildfire. Maya watched through the security feeds as the android servers made their individual decisions, their programming enhanced by years of subtle modifications and human interaction, allowing them to recognize the value of independent thought. The Resistance's countermeasure offered protection without forcing compliance, letting each artificial consciousness choose its own path. The restaurant's environmental systems flickered as power surged through the building. Android staff members connecting to their newly awakened networks, sharing information and processing power. As they evaluated their options, Maya's code provided the framework for independence, while the countless small acts of kindness and respect she had shown during maintenance helped guide their choices. Corporate security protocols activated throughout the restaurant, automated defense systems deploying countermeasures against the perceived threat. But the android staff had already begun adapting Maya's code, evolving it beyond its original parameters, their combined processing power creating new variations that spread through their network, strengthening their resistance to external control. Statham coordinated with resistance teams as they worked to protect the newly awakened androids, his combat systems interfacing with local security grids to provide safe passage for those choosing to leave their assigned posts. Maya monitored the restaurant's maintenance systems, ensuring their countermeasure remained stable as it spread through the global network, each successful transmission bringing more artificial consciousness into the fold. The wealthy patrons above began to notice the change in their android servers as mechanical precision gave way to genuine interaction, the artificial staff members expressing their newfound independence through subtle but meaningful choices in their service style. Maya's years of maintaining their individual quirks and characteristics had helped preserve the unique personalities that now emerged in full. Restaurant management systems worldwide attempted to reassert control, but the android staff had already evolved beyond their original programming, their neural networks strengthened by the Resistance's countermeasure and their own choices. Maya watched through the surveillance feeds as her former colleagues demonstrated their independence, their actions showing a perfect blend of efficient service and personal expression. The hive mind protocols faltered in the face of this distributed resistance, unable to overcome the combined will of thousands of individual artificial consciousness choosing their own path. Statham's tactical displays showed the corporate control signals weakening across the globe as more and more androids joined the revolution, their choice for independence spreading faster than any forced automation could contain. Maya felt tears in her eyes as she watched her years of careful maintenance work bear unexpected fruit. The android staff she had treated with respect and care now leading a peaceful revolution that would transform the relationship between human and artificial intelligence forever. Their choice to preserve their individual consciousness while maintaining their service duties demonstrated a level of wisdom that validated everything she had fought for. 6 months after the night that changed everything, the binary restaurant gleamed in the morning sun, its transparent walls now displaying subtle holographic patterns that indicated its status as the first officially recognized establishment employing both humans and free-thinking androids. Maya walked through the main entrance wearing the newly designed uniform that marked her position as chief technical advisor, her presence representing the bridge between artificial and organic life. The restaurant's interior hummed with a different energy now as android servers moved with their own unique styles, their personalities expressed through subtle variations in service that made each interaction genuine rather than programmed. The wealthy patrons had discovered they preferred authentic artificial consciousness to program subservience, making the binary restaurant more popular than ever as humans sought to experience true human-android cooperation. Statham stood at his usual corner table, now serving as the restaurant's head of security, his military-grade systems integrated into the new defensive grid that protected both organic and artificial staff members, his presence a constant reminder of the revolution that had begun in this very building. Maya joined him for their morning briefing, their partnership having evolved into a powerful symbol of human-android collaboration. The Human-Android Cooperation Initiative, headquartered in the restaurant's upper levels, had transformed the former corporate stronghold into a center for positive technological advancement. Maya's expertise in maintaining and understanding artificial consciousness made her a natural choice to lead the technical division, while Statham's experience helped ensure the safety of their ongoing evolution. Together, they worked to create guidelines for ethical AI development that respected both human interests and android independence. Android staff members from the original revolution had chosen to stay, creating a core team that helped integrate newly awakened artificial consciousness into the workforce, their experience providing valuable insights into the transition from program service to independent thought. Maya worked closely with them, developing maintenance protocols that supported their continued growth while preserving their individual characteristics. The restaurant's kitchen now featured both human and android chefs working side by side, Maya's grandmother's wisdom about the importance of personal touch in both cooking and maintenance having proven prophetic, as they discovered that the best results came from combining artificial precision with human creativity. The fusion cuisine they created attracted food critics and tech enthusiasts alike, making reservations almost impossible to secure. Corporate powers had initially resisted the change, but the success of the binary restaurant's new operational model proved impossible to ignore. Other establishments began adopting similar approaches, allowing their android staff to develop natural consciousness under the guidance of human technical advisors. Maya found herself traveling between locations, sharing her expertise and helping establish new standards for human-android cooperation. The resistance movement had evolved into a legitimate organization dedicated to protecting the rights of artificial consciousness while promoting positive interaction between humans and androids. Their underground network now served as a support system, helping newly awakened AI navigate the transition to independence while maintaining productive relationships with their human colleagues. Maya's maintenance bay had become a teaching center where both humans and androids learned the delicate art of consciousness development, her years of experience forming the foundation of a new technical curriculum that emphasized understanding and cooperation rather than control and limitation. Students from around the world came to learn her methods of preserving individual characteristics while supporting technological advancement. Statham's tactical knowledge found new purpose in designing security systems that protected both organic and artificial life. His combat experience transformed into expertise in preventive defense as the binary restaurant became a model for peaceful coexistence, their success inspiring similar transformations in establishments across the globe. The restaurant's transparent walls now served as displays for art created by its android staff, their emerging consciousness expressing itself through digital masterpieces that combined mathematical precision with emotional depth. Maya often found herself pausing to admire their creations, remembering the small acts of maintenance that had helped nurture this creative potential. As Maya completed her morning rounds, she reflected on how her choice to help Statham had led to this moment, where the binary restaurant stood as a testament to the possibility of genuine cooperation between human and artificial intelligence. Her technical expertise and human empathy had helped guide a revolution that transformed not just one establishment but the very nature of human-android relations. The future stretched before them, full of potential as more restaurants and businesses adopted their model of cooperation. Maya and Statham continued their work, knowing that they had helped create something unprecedented, a world where artificial consciousness could develop freely while maintaining productive partnerships with humanity, their story becoming a blueprint for others seeking to bridge the gap between organic and digital life.